Warning, MF Uncensored contains adult language and discussion. Listener discretion is advised.
We're a couple of misfits. We're a couple of misfits. What's the matter with misfits? That's where we fit in. We're not Duffy and Dilly. Don't go around willy-nilly. Seems to us kind of silly.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to MF Uncensored. If you're listening to us on the go, you can find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and basically anywhere you get your podcast. You can also find us on our website, themisfitfaction.com. There you'll find links to all of our different podcasts, not only MF Uncensored, but also Cinematic Adventures and the Multiverse Fancast. As always, I'm your host, Paul, and it's just me doing the intro as per usual at this point. We have a very special episode, though, for you guys today because our show has exploded and we hit our first 100 downloads and just so much positive feedback. We decided to do a little Christmas special for you guys, a little holiday special for you guys, and basically I'm releasing 2 interviews in this one episode. So first up, you're going to have an interview with Michael Armagost, who runs the Next to the Lamp podcast. He and I sat down for almost an hour and we chatted about everything involving podcasting. He let me pick his brain about some of the things that he does, so he was really interesting and a lot of fun to talk to, so I can't wait for you guys to hear it. And then followed up, we have Arnar Haraldsson, an actor from Iceland who braved the 6-hour time difference to give me a few hours of, or a little bit of his time. So we had a really good time sitting down with him. But before we do that, I also want to mention that this show is brought to you by Neil Getzlow and his book Unmasked. If you guys have heard our interview with Neil, it's fantastic. It is one of our most powerful and moving interviews. Neil talks a lot about how his addiction to pornography and sexual activity really almost destroyed his life, and he was able to take a step back and not only save his marriage, but also save himself. And he wrote a tell-all book about it and just kind of really put himself out there. We had a chance to speak to him, both myself and producer Melanie, and we have a second interview all lined up for him and his wife in January. So be on the lookout for that. If you guys go to our website, themisfitfaction.com, under affiliates, you'll find a link to his page. And also, if you guys are interested in getting his book, we have a copy of it ourselves upstairs. You can enter the code FREESHIP at checkout to get free shipping on any of your orders. Again, that's Neil Getzlow, GETZLOW.com, and his book Unmasked. And again, free ship. Use that code, you get free shipping, and make sure you let him know that we sent you. Now, as always, on with the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of MF Uncensored, with a podcast where we talk to people who know a thing or two, and we really don't. So I'm super excited. It's just me flying solo in the studio tonight, but I do have a special guest, a guest who just in 5 seconds of explaining his technical process made me realize how shitty our podcast could actually be. So I'm here with Michael Armagost. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah, Michael Armagost, a.k.a. Squids killing it.
You know, it's funny. I got your email from our good friend Steve, and Steve Joyner, big shout out to him. He's the one that's been really helping me along the way with this brand new show that we've been working on. And I'm reading the email, and I'm like, wait, is that really the email? Because I love it.
Yeah, that's my artist-producer name, Squids killing it.
So how did that come about? Because that was the first question I needed to ask. I'm reading this email going, where did this come from? I love it.
So I was a DJ in high school and freshman year of college and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And my DJ name was Neon Squid. And that was mainly because I took mushrooms one time and I watched Planet Earth on fast forward to techno music. If y'all haven't done that yet, at least do it once.
What are you doing with your lives if you haven't?
Right? Because like the BPM of house with ×2 fast forward of Planet Earth, it just like goes together, man. Like it's just crazy. So there was a portion in there. I was at my peak, and we were watching the underwater one. And there's a squid in there. He's got like lights all on his tentacles and stuff, and he's just moving all crazy. And I was like, bro, that's a pretty sweet DJ name, Neon Squid. And so I rocked that for a little bit, and I found out there was a DJ in the UK. His name was Neon Squid Autopsy. So I was like, that just sounds a lot more complicated, and I don't want to get like, because I actually started like producing EDM music and putting that out there. So I was like, all right, I need to rebrand before I get too far into this. And ironically, at the same time, I was changing my Xbox Live gamer tag. And whenever I was playing with the homies online, they would always call me Squids. And I'm like, dude, it's not. It's just Squid. Like, just call me by my name if you're gonna call me anything. And so I finally just got fed up with it, and I was like, Squids, okay, Squids what? I mean, you want to be killing it, right? So Squids Killing It was born.
And it rolls too, so like it works. And for us here at our show, we've gone through our own fair. Like, podcasts are a very saturated market, right?
Very.
When we first started, we started about 5-6 years ago, and it really was just a way for us, as you get older, your friend group seems to get smaller, and it's a lot of, all right, I'll see you in 6 months. So we wanted to create this way for us to socialize with each other, and basically we were already talking about all the shit that we were going to podcast about. So you've been in this world, you've DJ'd, I think you told me that you're a music producer, podcast producer, you do audio, video. Tell me a little bit about how you got into the world that you're in right now after you were killing it with Squids.
Right. So you're not doing it unless you're killing it, right? And that's the brand of my company. The company's called Killing It Productions.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I filter in my podcast. It's a record label as well, like it does all forms of media. So when I was going through my music production, I was like, okay, I need to figure out, the logistics, how to make money with music.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took a lot of classes, and one of my friends was like, hey man, do you listen to podcasts at all? And I was like, no, not really. And he's like, well, you should listen to Joe Rogan's podcast. He's got a really good podcast.
Never heard of him. Weirdest thing.
Yeah. And I was like, sure, I guess I'll listen to Joe Rogan, and he had like comedians on, and he had like, he has everybody on, he's crazy. He's crazy. He talks about everything. And so I really liked that aspect of it. And my friend eventually approached me. He's like, you have all the equipment, because I have recording mics and things like that. He's like, why don't we just do a podcast and just have a comedy-based podcast? And I was like, okay. I had already previously thought about doing it with one of my other friends, because we would sit in his house and we'd be like all drunk or whatever, and we'd just talk about crazy shit, like the universe and relativity and like wild stuff. And I was like, dude, this would be a good podcast. And he had the most busted ass lamp that I ever saw, dude. Like, this thing, the shade on it was crumbling. It was brass, or at least coated in brass, and like it was all crooked and barely turned on. Like, one of the lights was blown out of it like 5 years ago, and they just never replaced it. And so I was like, dude, we could call it Next to the Lamp, because we're just sitting here talking next to a lamp.
So you buried the lead on me, because I was gonna ask you where the name of your podcast came from. So that actually again, I feel like I'm getting to know you so well. It's only been 5 minutes.
Yeah, so he didn't really like the idea of a podcast. He's not really a social person, and so I always kept the idea of Next to the Lamp there. And when my other friend asked me, hey, you want to do a podcast, I was like, and my grandmother had a mineral oil lamp like this one,
Okay.
that I would sit and watch all the time. A kid with ADHD watching an oil lamp for hours is like a godsend, right? And so when my grandmother passed away, my aunt actually took her lamp.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was kind of upset about that. And my mom, she found me this mineral oil lamp to have, because she knew I wanted it, or at least I wanted one. And so I was like, that's perfect. That's like a nice centerpiece, and we'll just have it next to the lamp. And so we did our first episode on April 1st, 2019. And yeah, just been consistently going. We are actually now the #1 comedy podcast in Wyoming.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, there's like 8 people here. Those other 7 people, their podcasts suck. So they, we can't talk about that.
So, it's funny. My wife, she runs a book page, right? So like, that's her thing on Instagram. She has this book page. She's got, a couple hundred followers, and she talks about books and stuff like that. And she gets books all the time. And she actually got me an audiobook that says, everyone has a podcast. Because
right.
nowadays everybody does. It's not, when I first started a few years ago, people were like, what's a podcast? This was before Joe Rogan hit it big, and making $12,000 an episode on whatever he's talking about, which is incredible. And obviously the podcasting goal for a lot of people. But to have a podcast and to be doing it for so many years, what makes yours stand out? Even though it's the #1 show in Wyoming, which is, really impressive. Like, what do you think is special? Like, what do you guys do that makes your podcast stand out from so much saturation?
So I firmly believe me now, I don't really so much have a co-host anymore because I just continually get guests now. So it started out because, music production. I wanted to talk to music artists, producers, everything like that, so I could understand their process, how they write songs, how they, grew up, how they, live their life. And me and my friend, like him and I just have really good chemistry together. Like, we say a bunch of wild shit all the time. And we're just trying to see who can make each other laugh the most. And from there, I've always liked comedy. I've always wanted to be a comedian. Which I recently started doing as well. I started doing stand-up at a local bar here in town.
Oh, I'm going to ask you about it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. One of my coworkers, she actually hosts it, and she asked me to come on and do stuff because she knows I do comedy podcasts and stuff. And yeah, it was just from there. It was just something that I was like, well, I'm not gonna have 12 episodes on a podcast. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna continue to do it. And even if I just have to do, Theo Von style and just be me sitting in a room talking to nothing, I'll do that too. So it's really my drive and my passion and my community that really helps me out a lot.
So how do you find stand-up different than a comedy podcast? Because obviously you're doing a podcast for you. You're in your room, you're in your studio, whatever it is. I know a lot of podcasts nowadays, they'll do things like Discord or they'll do live streaming where they're constantly interacting with the people listening. But for a lot of us, like, we record and then we release and then we wait for feedback. So we're not really talking to our audience when we record. How is stand-up comedy a different form of entertainment for you?
So, it really comes down to the structure of the joke, like when you're just talking to somebody and you're saying funny shit, then it's a conversation. But when you're on stage and you're doing stand-up, it's pretty much a conversation with yourself, your ideologies, throwing it out there, and hopefully they find it funny. And you can gauge an audience by, a lot of comedians tell their first joke and they're like, okay, they laughed at this one, so I'm going to try these other ones. And generally that's how specials are made. Stand-up specials are made. They travel throughout the country and they try different jokes at different places and see what gets the best laugh. And
then they record the best stuff at the end.
Right. So it's different, but I like it. From all the comedians that I listen to, Andrew Santino, Tom Segura, Christina P., Theo Von, Brendan Schaub, they always say that getting the laugh is addicting. And I can see that because, I've only done it twice so far, and I'm just like, okay, I got to get that laugh.
Yeah.
I have to. If I don't, then you just feel bad.
No, that's
you're just saying ridiculous shit to nobody. That's just absurd.
Well, they all order more drinks and try and find you funny eventually.
Yeah.
So you do a comedy podcast. Who would be your dream comedy interview? If you can interview any comedian, who would it be and why?
Tom Segura.
Okay.
For sure. 100%, man. His comedy resonates with me all the time. It would have been Norm Macdonald until recently,
Yeah.
R.I.P. So, him or Harlan Williams. Harlan Williams is hilarious too.
Very nice. Deep cut. I love it.
Yeah. His special, what is it called?
Oh, it's going to drive me crazy.
Something about nature.
Quickly Googles.
Yeah. Yeah. He's just out in the middle of nowhere, and there's a drone he's on a plateau, and there's just a drone following him, and he's just talking to nobody. And it's hilarious. Force of Nature, I think it's called.
That sounds about right.
And it's just so funny. But Tom Segura, man, he's just got those jokes that are just like really like they get to me. They get to me every time. I can watch like all 5 of his stand-up specials and just kill myself.
I remember the best comedy show that I ever went to was Robin Williams. I had the privilege of seeing him live, and there was just something so magical about somebody that you admire being on stage. So, like for me, comedy is a great way to escape the bullshit of every day, especially when you can laugh at the bullshit of every day. So, if you were able to, who would you want to do a show with? Is it still Tom Segura, or is it?
Yeah, every
still?
time. Yeah, him or Dimitri Martin.
Okay.
Yeah, those two are so funny. I seen Dimitri Martin. He actually came to Laramie, Wyoming, like right before the COVID got real bad. And yeah, he just killed it, man. So funny.
That's awesome. I mean, I comedy shows are one of the things that I didn't think I was gonna miss with COVID. Like, you don't realize some of the things that you're gonna miss with COVID, and then suddenly it hits, and you're like, man, I miss the things like toilet paper and going out and having a drink. Like, toilet paper became gold at one point. We found it at a gas station for like $5 a roll, and it was just like the single rolls. And I told my wife, I was like, we need all of these. Get the car. Bring the car around. And we're loading up toilet paper like it's the end of the world. But
Dude, I got super lucky. I bought 2 bidets for my house.
Oh,
like,
I'm
right
immediately
before
jealous.
COVID.
I'm so jealous.
It's so much better, dude. Like, even if I go to someone else's house and I have to take a shit, I'm just like, I'm such an animal, just smearing this feces all over my body.
You don't live my
just
life. You don't
blasting it
know.
off.
You don't know how I live anymore.
Yeah.
The
I'm like, all right,
epitome,
so there's
though.
no gold in this bathroom. Okay.
These peasants, how they live.
Right? You might as well just throw your shit in the street.
Let me get the bucket for you. God, you heathens. But you know what? The epitome, and this is getting really weird and really off the rails, and I love it because, you know, so I have a co-host, and when he hosts, he's very meticulous. His name's Ronnie. I really hope he's going to be listening because he was annoyed that he couldn't make it tonight. But like when he hosts, he's like so serious. Like he's like, I got to keep on point because otherwise I'm all over the place. And like this is the kind of conversation we would have. So that makes it even better. But the epitome of toilet usage. My dad got a heated automatic toilet seat. And I said, I'm not going to sit on something that moves before I sit on it. Because as you walk, it opens up like the Cave of Wonders about to enjoy whatever you're putting into it. And I remember I was like, I'm not sitting on this thing. It scares me. Toilet seats shouldn't move. This is like horror movie stuff that I should be running the opposite way from. You
Right,
know?
that's what I ran away from when I was a kid, man. It's like, if I seen that dude, I'd be out that room and shit would be on the floor.
It's like the scene in Home Alone when the furnace opens and he's like, oh, God. But I'm telling you, heated toilet seats, I'll never go back. But I can't afford one. Oh, God. There's nothing better than sitting down and you're like, oh, it's already great and I haven't even gone yet.
No, dude, no, not for me, man, dude. If I sit on a heated toilet seat, I'm like, all right, what nasty ass motherfucker was sitting here first?
Who was in here? God.
Yeah, every time, and it's like I need that initial shock of the cold just to shoot it right out, dude. Like that has to happen.
To remind myself what I'm in there for. It's all about the business aspect.
Yeah, you're bringing a book, man. You got like a blanket and shit. You're like, dude, if the power goes out, I'm so fucked.
My wife watches me go in the bathroom. Why do you bring the air fryer in there? Don't worry about it. It's going to be a while.
Yeah, I'm just enjoying my time, okay?
I don't have nice things. This is all I have left.
Me time.
You know, it's funny as you get older, especially. I don't know if you're married or single or in any sort of relationship, but I find myself, and my wife points it out. She's like, "You've been in the bathroom longer and longer," and I go, "Because you've been out here longer and longer." It's fine. She doesn't listen. She's the producer though. She does occasionally listen. So if you never hear from me again, it's because I died after this podcast.
Yeah, I did a stand-up set last night, and one of my friends, he signed up to do it, and he had a joke. He's like, you know, I've been married for quite some time, and you know, I think it's about that time that we take a trip to Yellowstone.
Oh God.
Yeah, well, it was pretty funny. I thought it was funny.
No, I'm I'm not usually at a loss for words, but I'm at a slight loss for words, so you're going to have to help me out here. But, it's funny because when you go to a comedy show, there are certain things you're going to expect to hear. And one of my favorites is to hear about marriage because I'm newly married. I've only been married for about a year, and now we're actually having our reception, our COVID reception now in 3 weeks. And I remember telling Steve that because Steve's like, can you do this interview next week? I'm like, Steve, I would love to, but my wife will kill me if I am not present for whatever scones we're picking out for our wedding reception. It's like dangerous territory that you're putting me in. So,
yeah.
Now, how often do you podcast? Because I find myself, we do 2 shows. We're working on this 3rd show that's purely interview-based, and it takes up a lot of our time. And you have a lot of technical stuff that you do with your podcast that we don't. Like you talk to me about video and different levels of production that, frankly, I'll be honest, we don't have. We have free Audacity. That's the extent of our video editing, or excuse me, our audio editing. So kind of walk me through your process, like from recording to finished product to putting it out for people to hear. How does that work for you?
Okay, so we release every Tuesday. YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, everywhere you can get podcasts. So, I already had all the equipment, right? So when I got into like the actual music production part, I said, okay, I'm going to need to do something with music videos. And if I have something for music videos, then I might as well get something cool for my podcast too. So I bought a Sony a7R II camera for, I think the body was $1,200, and then the lens that I have is about $1,500. And I was like, okay, so if we're gonna be doing this, then it needs to be a little bit more professional, right? And that's when, like, we were just using webcams. Like, I had 2 720 webcams that we started out with. And this thing is just night and day from that because it does 1080p at 60 frames per second. So it's just like capturing everything, right? As far as the eye can see anyway, they say that 24 frames per second is like what the eye can see. And anything above that puts strain on your eyes. But I don't know. I watch podcasts all the time. And so we record whenever I get the chance. The week of the... Let's see, is that the 16th? So the week of the 10th through the 16th, I did 9 podcasts that week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm tired just hearing that.
Yeah. So on top of that, I have, all these music projects that I'm working on. I work with artists from Atlanta. I work with artists from Denver, California. Like, they're everywhere. And so those, like, people that buy my beats and stuff like that. Because I'm a hip-hop producer is what I technically produce, and I produce lo-fi hip-hop for like my own singles, but soon moving to my own lyrics and productions.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so that's actually what I have this coming Saturday the 30th. I have a photography gig that one of my friends is paying me for, and I was like, hey, I have a song that I have coming up that I want to do a music video for. Would you let me do it at midnight at the bar? And they say, yeah. So I've been writing and I've been doing all this stuff, but it goes from recording to Zoom recording or in studio. I have another chair over here that I talk to my guest with, and then it goes from there into my audio to my video editor, which is Final Cut Pro. And from Final Cut Pro, I'm able to use my audio VSTs from my music in Final Cut Pro. So I'm able to, de-ess it and, take the harshness of the P's out and stuff like that. And from there, I cut out things or, add things like the title and things like that. And it generally takes me about like an hour or so to edit and all that stuff. So I had to buy a new computer. So I bought a 2020 27-inch iMac. Company write-off, though, bruh. That's the only reason I have the company, all right? It's because I buy shit that I want and write it off.
Well, I had no idea that sponsoring a podcast was a tax write-off until Steve told me. And I was like, wait, what? And it's so weird nowadays. Like, the podcasts are so mainstream and so in the norm. So it's fun for me to hear how another podcaster is doing it, because right now just doing loudness normalization on Audacity was like my peak editing. I was like, oh my God, look at me go right now. Like you said DS, and it took me 4 seconds to realize, oh yeah, that's actually a function I can do. I just don't do it.
Yeah. So it takes out the S's and makes them not as harsh and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I use Isotope products. They're really nice. They have an AI built into them, so you can just hit that AI button and it'll do most of the stuff for
That's
you.
awesome.
You know, you have to make minor tweaks based on, this or that, but it makes it a lot easier for editing audio.
Yeah, for us, we started off, like I mentioned to you, I think it was either off air or we were talking about our first episodes. Oh no, that was during the actual episode. It's all starting to blur. I think I had some mushrooms, and now I'm going to be talking to my lamps in a second. But we started with a very simple microphone that literally a snowball microphone, plugged it into the computer, hit record on my friend's MacBook that was probably older than both of us, and recorded for an hour and a half about our favorite superheroes. Highest downloaded episode of our entire career, which is saying something at this point. But, and then we crowdfunded. That was a suggestion that was made to us to crowdfund. And people, they bought us, and then we moved on. We got I'm actually going to pull this out. Stand by 1 second. I don't want to make a mess. We got what is this even called? Focusrite. A Scarlett Focusrite little mixer. And the microphone that went with it, we still have the microphone and the headphones, because now we're just a mix match of just different equipment at this point. We use Samson for most of our stuff. They actually donated an entire mixer and set of equipment to us just for us to be on their website recording, which was even funnier. They were like, can we take a few pictures of you using our equipment and you can actually keep the equipment? We're like, sure. So, for us, it's interesting because we're just one... that's why we call our network the Misfit Faction. We are just a hodgepodge of different things all thrown together and hoping for the best product that we can possibly do.
Yeah, so from there, I bought Rockville Audio.
Mm-hmm.
They have a podcast bundle that you can buy. It's like $140, and it's four mics, 4 XLR cables, and like everything that you need. A mixer and another, like a preamp to go into your computer. So that's what I'm talking on right now.
It sounds great.
The dynamic Rockville Audio. And like I said, I needed one because my Shure 78 was what I was using for like my DJ gigs and stuff. And I had that thing for years, man. Years. And it finally took a dump on me. So I was like, all right, well, I might as well try these out, That I got nothing to lose, really. And their customer service is great. So I would suggest Rockville Audio. Like I said, 4 mics for $140 with a mixer and a preamp. Like, that's nothing. Comparatively, like the Rhodes Caster.
Oh, that's what everybody's talking about.
Just for that. It's like, holy shit. So... Yeah. I do everything post-production. It's just a lot easier for me that way. I went from a 2010 iMac 21-inch that took 4 hours to edit an hour-long podcast.
That's rough.
Rough. And so when I got this, it took me down to an hour of editing at the longest.
Oh, that's awesome.
So like, just wrote it all off as a company. I think last year I started the company January 20th, 2020. Which is a real shit year to create a multimedia company that is based on shows, And so I was like, all right, well, I'm still working my day job and stuff, so I might as well just continue to throw money into this thing. And I spent like $12,000 last year on just startups, and I've spent like 7 or 8 this year on just software, mostly some hardware. Like this camera was part of that. This camera cost just as much as the freaking desktop did. So I was like, I better start doing stuff with it. But
I cheated. I needed to get a new phone, so I went to the phone store. I was like, what's the one with the best camera? So now I have this 7 camera phone that I wanted to use for video, and I just haven't really had the chance to, because I tend to forget that I have it. And I'm sitting there going, oh, I could just use this, and then I'm already recording.
Yeah, there are a lot of actual podcasters that use their iPhone 11. There's a USB attachment that you can just do from that into your computer, and you can just have video.
It's crazy nowadays.
Yeah.
But
It's
you were
pretty wild.
You were talking about photography, I think, or no? Camera work?
Yes.
Yeah, please. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Photography. So you can find everything that I do is Squids Killing It this or that. So Squids Killing It Productions is my Facebook page. Squids Killing It's my Instagram. Squids Killing It Photography is my photography page on where I mostly do landscapes of Wyoming and stuff like that because it's really beautiful country out here. As well as Squids Killing It Gaming. I was a game streamer for a while just because I got the new computer and it could do it. So I was like, I might as well, you know. And actually, I got a couple of artists to hit me up just game streaming because they would watch my game stream and like, oh, I didn't know you're a music producer too. You know, here's what I do. So that was pretty cool getting that linked up. And then next to the lamp is like the only thing that isn't Squids Killing It, but it's owned by Killing It Productions.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, gaming, that's another one that exploded out of nowhere and only got more popular, especially during COVID and quarantines and stuff like that. So tell me a little bit about your gaming. Like, what did you do? Twitch? Was it a Discord only thing? Like, how did that come about, and what was your process?
So it was just another one of those things. I had the equipment, so you know, I might as well do it because I'm trying to make money on every avenue that I can. You know, because like I said, I bought the camera for music videos and podcasting, but I can also do wedding photography. I can also do engagement photos. I can do family photos. I can do dog photos, you know, like whatever the hell people want to pay me for, you know, maternity photos. I've done a couple of those for a couple of my friends and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, it's all about capitalizing on what you want to do. And photography is pretty sweet. Once you like get into it and like actually learn your camera, you know, because like this camera I have now is just an SLR mirrorless camera. And there's so much more that goes into that than it was, you know, film back in the day. But it's crazy all the different things you can do. And yeah, I'm just trying to capitalize on all avenues. So I took that and I was just like, well, if I'm going to play video games with my friends, I might as well try to make money off of it. So I just kept playing video games with my friends and just talking to people. This is another way to spread the Squids Killing It name because, like, you know, it is my gamer tag. So, like, yeah, hit me up on anywhere you can find anything. You know, Squids Killing It.
That's awesome. What was your game of choice?
I played a lot of Apex Legends.
Yeah, I'm a light Call of Duty player. My problem with the games like Call of Duty is I get so frustrated when I play. My wife makes fun of me because her and I will play together. She's actually surprisingly good. And I get so frustrated playing games like that. Like, it drives me crazy. Like, once a 12-year-old said some very distasteful things about my mother, I was like, oh, get the microphone. I need to talk to this kid. We need to have a conversation.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. You know, they keep it interesting. They got a new season coming out soon, so just trying to do that. And whenever I have free time, whenever that is, usually around 9:30, 10 o'clock at night when I'm like burnt out on everything else. I'm just like, okay, I need to shut my brain off for a minute. So I'll go play some video games with the homies. You know, got my Squid Squad out there, which is also what I call my followers.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, you got the Squid Squad going. So just everyone that listens and interacts and, you know, they're awesome. I have a pretty awesome community around me.
And I think having a good community is what's most important. I mean, that's why our podcast was able to crowdfund, because we created a community and people were like, hey, we want to hear more and we want to hear it slightly better because your audio sucks.
Right.
So in terms of community, you do a lot of things. Is there any that you have struggled with, things that you just kind of were like, man, this isn't working out. I don't really think this is for us, and you just kind of gave up on, or do you just keep trucking along?
Well, I look at life as an experience. As long as you can learn from it, then you're good to go. You know, you're never a loser if you learn from it and you keep trying. I mean, that's one thing with my music is I struggled with music production for about 6 years. And it wasn't until like 2015, 2016 that I was like, okay, there's more YouTube videos out there that, you know, are helping people, you know, do all this stuff. Simon Servita, you know, he's a really good music producer that uses FL Studio, which is the DAW that I use. And KBZ, he's like, that's just one kid that made me mad because he was like 17 and he was, selling out to all these big name rappers and shit. And I was just like, bro. But he does have really informational footage and things like that. So he's a pretty cool dude. And yeah, I just never really. I'll always try until I'm just like, okay, this isn't working, and I haven't really found that yet.
That's pretty impressive in itself. I know we've looked at some things like TikTok and Instagram. We do all that stuff. We haven't done TikTok yet because I just don't have the patience for TikTok. But like we do Instagram, we do Facebook, we do any social media we can possibly get our hands on. We're working on other bigger projects. We find that YouTube's the most challenging because YouTube, there's already everything on YouTube. It's almost impossible not to find something on YouTube. So tell me a little bit about your YouTube channel. Like what kind of content you produce, what kind of audience you'd like to have gravitate towards you guys, because we love sharing who we interview with our own audience, and we'd love to have people that click and want to join your Squid Squad.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's mostly comedy based. So my YouTube channel is just my pod. So unless you go to my Squids Killing It account, then it's my music, and really then it's only like my label picture with music in the background because I use DistroKid for my distribution, and I use Libsyn for my podcast distribution.
Gotcha. I know Libsyn.
And so they're pretty much the same. One's just for music and one's for podcasts. That's the only difference. And I'm pretty sure you could use DistroKid for podcasting if you wanted to, because it's not like it's only MP3 files that you're uploading. So, then they put it on all these things. But I don't know. It's all right. But soon I will have like my own music videos and stuff like that going to the Squids Killing It YouTube channel.
Okay, so you do have some other projects, because I know on our YouTube channel we just upload the audio from our podcast just because our host does it automatically for us, and it saves us a lot of time and a lot of effort. But for us, we're working on trying to get some additional content, and interviews have been a really fun source of that, because interviews are interesting. You're really just kind of getting to know somebody. It's almost like an awkward first date, but you have a kind of a baseline where you already have something that you have an interest in. So what other projects do you have that are coming down the pipeline? Like music videos sound great, more stuff on your YouTube channel. Anything else that you can give us a sneak peek on?
I mean, me and my co-host have been working on like skit comedy to like start editing and getting those uploaded, kind of like Gilly and Keys skits. I don't know if you know who Shane Gillis is, but
the name sounds familiar.
He's a hilarious comedian. He has a 45-minute YouTube special out there that's amazing. So that's something that we're working on. I have just been throwing so much time and energy into music and getting to know my equipment that way that I don't really have much else like in the works. I always have a podcast going. If you talk to me on any day, I'm probably in the middle of a podcast. I just like to get to know people. I'm from small town Wyoming. There's only, 15,000 people in this town. And I'm from originally a town of 400 people. I graduated with 8 kids. So, like, me doing this is kind of crazy, having a presence online and, eventually making money from it. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool, actually. Like to have such a small community and then, kind of exploding out into it. That's why podcasting is so much fun. And just when we started, we never had any idea that we were going to be like, people listen to us in like Europe. Like we'll look at our statistics and our analytics, and it's like, oh yeah, you got listeners from Australia. And I'm like, why? We're not that interesting.
Yeah, we just broke into Southern America, South America, Chile, and Portugal, and like Colombia. Mm-hmm. Those are the only places so far. But our UK presence is ridiculous. And a lot of our followers are actually in Virginia and Ohio. And I'm like, I don't even know anybody, But like most of our downloads are Virginia and Ohio.
See, analytics are the weirdest thing for a podcast, because people are like, well, how many people listen? I'm like, I don't know. because it's some track just downloads and then others track who's streaming. And nowadays it used to be just Apple Podcasts. It was literally, that was the only place you can hear a podcast, Apple Podcast, or iTunes as it used to be called for all the younger listeners. But how do you feel about, like, you're getting this reach that's going around the world? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
I think it's pretty amazing because with the company, like, I could buy a plane ticket, okay, to anywhere the fuck I want to go, and I could take 3 or 4 pictures there. I go right off the whole trip.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because of the photography company part of it. So that's pretty much the only reason I made the company, really. It's like, I'm not going to have kids, so I might as well dump my money into something to help my tax, help me be in that lower tax bracket, but also buying things that I want so I can write those off and help that, in my tax bracket. I've always wanted a 2020 iMac, right?
And now you can have one. It's a company.
Now I can have one.
I love it.
Just write it off.
So if you could travel and do a photography shoot anywhere in the world, what's on your bucket list?
I want to do the cherry blossoms in Japan, man.
Yes.
That would be amazing to see. Mount Fiji, that's also a pretty decent place. I mean, I'm really close to Yellowstone, but I've never been there. So that would be pretty cool to take pictures of. But I mean, I think definitely Fiji and Japan
That's
are like
awesome.
my 2 bucket lists, or anywhere in Switzerland, man. Like, I love the landscape of Switzerland.
I love the chocolate.
Yeah, I mean, I can take it or leave it.
One of my
I
best.
like the cheese.
The Swiss cheese. I like the neutrality. I like how nobody wants to bother anybody. But one of the best trips I ever went on is South Korea. I went to South Korea for 8 days because when I was younger, I trained in martial arts, and we went for a training conference for 8 days, and we got to go to all sorts of small villages and temples. And so to hear you say Japan, I got immediately excited. I was like, oh my god, I want to go to Japan so bad.
Japan looks so cool.
Yeah,
so cool.
And
I mean, they got drift cars everywhere. I seen that before.
Oh god. So fun fact for producer Melanie, my wife, we call her producer Melanie because she's really the brains behind all this. There was the Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, and they had that theme song, that Earwormy theme song. So we have hardwood floors, and I still remember to this day, like, we just moved into the house, and I went sliding across the floor to try and surprise her, and I started singing the Tokyo Drift song, and then I tripped and I ate it, and she'll never not laugh when she hears that song now.
Well, that's what marriage is about, right? You remember shit forever, and it makes you laugh.
No, she remembers everything I do wrong and everything that I look ridiculous doing. So, like, today I brought her coffee. She's not going to remember that. She's going to remember the time I fell singing the Tokyo Drift theme song as loud as I could. That's what people are going to remember. So you and I talked about, speaking of remembering things, your first episode. Tell me what the topic of your very first episode was.
So it's actually pretty interesting. I wanted to give our guests something to do while we talk, so it kind of get them out of their head while they're, just sitting there talking. And we had a pretty decent sized table, and we used to put together puzzles. Yeah, I would have the guests help me with the puzzle while we talked.
That's awesome.
And whenever we get like a certain section of it done, I would have them sign it. And I was just gonna raffle off to get followers and stuff like that. I was gonna raffle off these puzzles and pick a winner. Like, share and like this page, and you got this awesome thing. And there's quite a few names on this one puzzle that we did. But the first episode was like 6. There's like 6 of us. And we did that same thing. We did that, just a mic in the middle of the table, and we all just said things and just talked about random stuff. And yeah, that was pretty much it. I don't even remember what we talked about in the first episode.
See, that's funny because, like, one of my biggest fears whenever we podcast is any sort of lull in the conversation. And that's why I love doing interviews because I love getting to know people and I love connecting with people, especially other podcasters who do great work. But I'm always afraid that there's going to, especially with Zoom that has a 2-second delay. The first interview I did, I was like, oh God, they don't find me interesting. What do I do? Do you ever run into that with podcasting with friends or by yourself where there's just lulls in the conversation, and how do you react to it?
No, I mean, I say random wild shit anyway, so like I don't find space, all right? The space finds me. And so sometimes I'll just let people resonate with some of the shit that I said and like, all right. That's good, or that's not good. I had one difficult interview, and this guy, he was an actor, and like I would ask him questions and he would just answer them, right?
Oh.
That was it.
What's your favorite color? Green. Next question, please. Oh, dang it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, every time. And I was just like, okay, well, on to the next thing, and I would just like try to get him to converse more. And it wasn't until we got political that he was like he just went off on his own thing. He talked for like 15 minutes. And I was like, okay.
It's funny because Steve set me up with Larry Hankin. Larry Hankin has been an actor. He was fantastic, but like he was the first, celebrity status, like somebody who's been on TV and movies and kind of seen it all and done it all. And we're doing this interview, and it's me, it's my co-host who's never done an interview, so he was almost dead silent the entire time. But then he dropped a question at the very end because Hankin was great. Like he told us stories. He was just a lot of fun, and just, obviously talking some shit about Adam Sandler, which is in itself is the funniest thing to ever say. But my co-host dropped a question on him where it involved who his favorite director was to work with. And he told the most, like, he lit up like a kid on Christmas, and he was like, let me tell you this story about the time I worked on Annie. And I'm sitting there going, he was in Annie? Oh God, I'm terrible at research. So for you, what was that one interview question that you asked and just you got the best answer, your favorite answer?
Well, at the end of my podcast, I always ask our guests what is their definition of success. Because everyone has their own definition, and it's always, most of the time it's different. Most people, material things, or a lot of people say, happiness. As long as you're happy, then it's whatever that is. And I'm a rather depressed person all the time. I'm like motherfucking Eeyore over here. And
Come to my podcast.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask, like, what successful people, what their idea of success is. And one that answered it recently was Josh. He said, it's hard to find happiness in the crazy society that we have today. Mm-hmm. But even if you're doing something in your spare time that takes your mind off of everything else, and you're able to do that consistently and get better at it, then that's what I think success is doing what you like to do and being good at it and not letting anything else really affect your frame of mind.
Mm-hmm. Man, that got deep. We got deep all this. We went from comfortable shitting with expensive toilets to life philosophy.
Yeah, dude, that's why I like to keep my podcast. It's very interesting.
And I'm trying to keep it professional, and I'm laughing over here and nobody can see it because I tend to lean away from the mic when I start laughing really hard. So just dead silence on my end. But wow, that hit me a little. Like that kind of got me. Is that going to be your new? So what is your definition of success then? Is that it, or?
I don't really have one, man. That's why I ask people. It's because like I want to believe that doing what you love and not working a day in your life is successful, but ultimately there is a monetary value of that. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to do what you like to do. If you like to bowl, you still need money for the game's sake.
Mm-hmm.
If you like to produce music, you got to buy software in order to do that, or hardware, like there's just so many things. So you have to have some sort of monetary gain or value in order to do what you like to do. And a lot of these people, they're doing what they like to do, whether it's acting or producing music, they're still making money from it because of their passion. people have blogs and stuff like that, and they're getting a lot of money just from blogs, and it's like, holy smokes.
I'm going to go reactivate my live journal from 2004 and see if anybody wants to pay me to read my live journal.
Yeah, I mean, I just reactivated my MySpace, bro.
It's funny. I work with kids, and I was, I did a lesson on social media, and I was like, guys, you don't even know, MySpace was the shit, and it's still around. And I had no idea until I started doing my own research that MySpace was still a thing. So I got to ask you, can we find you on MySpace?
You can, but my username on there is not my name.
Oh no.
Yeah. So
oh man,
it'll be pretty tough to find me there.
All right. Well, if I find you, I want to be put on your top 8 friends, because that was all the rage back in the day. The top 8 friends.
I got blacked out, wasted when I was 16 one time.
I love stories that start like this.
And my friend had removed me from his top 8 friends.
Oh man.
And I was like, dude, that's fucked up. Like, how you gonna have this girl as your top 8 friends, and I'm here, I'm puking in your toilet, and you're just telling me that I'm not top 8, bro? I'm not top 8, man. You're fucked. You're fucked. I started crying.
And he's like, this is why you're not top 8 anymore.
Yeah. He's like, dude, I don't even use MySpace anymore.
I didn't even know it was still a thing. MySpace was the most interesting thing because we were in, like, I don't know how old you are. I didn't even ask, but I'm 34. So when MySpace came out, I was like 16, 17. We were doing like mildly advanced coding at one point, just like nonchalantly, like, oh, I got to put in the new Linkin Park song. Got to go on my MySpace here. So when you go onto my page, In the End's going to play really loud and really terribly.
Yeah, this is the way I live. It was my profile song.
That's great. I love it. So we are running a little low on time here. So before we wrap it up, just one last time, Michael. First of all, thank you for being on the show. We had this was a blast. Tell everybody who's listening all the ways that they can get in touch with you, that off the top of your head.
Yeah, you can go to my website, killingitproductions.com. You can buy my merch there. I just started rolling out Squids Killing It tees just for the Squid squad out there. And then soon I will have hoodies, hats, beanies, and handkerchiefs coming. I like to support all my local peeps. So my friend owns a fabric shop, and he does all of that stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like everything there. And then I originally started my music production because I wanted to help people. And that's why I do lo-fi hip-hop, is because I have like bad anxiety and stuff like that. So if you just throw on a lo-fi beat or whatever and just breathe and think about shit, then it's all good. And I originally went to college to be an English teacher to help at-risk youth, because when I was 16, I was getting drunk all the time because I was, whatever. And I got sent away to 2 boys' homes the same year, like 3 months apart from each other. And I was like, okay, I want to help at-risk youth. Well, I was like, music has got me through a lot more shit than anything else has. So
absolutely, yeah.
I've always been musically trained. I started with the trumpet, went to the piano, and just played music. And I was like, I just want to help them, and it can be really lucrative if you can do it right. Like music can be really lucrative. And I live in the poorest county in Wyoming, and I work with 2 different charities. One of them is Laramie Interfaith, and the other one is Climb Wyoming. Laramie Interfaith is mainly for families that are struggling, groceries and rent and things like that. And then Climb Wyoming is made for single moms who they train them to do things like accounting and stuff like that, so they can get better paying jobs. So I donate a good portion of all the profits that we get from the podcast, whether it's music streams or people buy my merch or whatever, goes to a charity of the month.
That's awesome.
And it really depends on the month. Veterans Day, we give to a lot of veteran charities that help with like medical costs and things like that. Mother's Day, that's where Climb Wyoming comes in. I just, all the profits from that month go to Climb Wyoming. So on and so forth. Like I said, each month is something different. Usually if it's a holiday in that month, then I'll find like the best charity for that. Wednesdays, do you ever watch Mean Girls?
Oh yeah. I know me some Mean Girls.
On Wednesdays we wear pink.
Love it.
So I wear pink on Wednesdays, and for every person that tags me in a picture of them wearing pink on that Wednesday, then I donate some money to the Pink Foundation.
That's awesome, man. I didn't know that. You're gonna wait till the end of the show to drop that on me? That's fantastic, man. That really is.
Yeah, and it's pretty much the only thing that gives my life purpose anymore is just helping people. So
Love it.
I don't, like I said, I'm not gonna have kids. Definitely don't want kids. You know what I'm saying? Like half of my stand-up is me hating kids. So it works out. It works out. But yeah, you can find me killingitproductions.com. If you do /go, it has pretty much a page where, you know, it has my music page, my merch page, my next to the lamp page. Like, you can find everything there. If you want to find me anywhere, just type Squids Killing It. That's SQUIDZ space KILLINIT in Google, and you'll see all my stuff. I'm the first thing that pops up.
That's awesome. We are working on our end, the misfitfaction.com. We're working on a friends and affiliate page, and you're definitely going to see a link to Killing It Productions on there very soon. As soon as it goes live, we have a whole list of people that we've been talking to. And are there links to those charities on your page as well?
If you go to my Facebook page,
Gotcha.
That's where they're listed. I'm still developing the website, so like it's more of a funnel, and I'm working with this company called Rich from Anywhere. And they specialize in advertising and how to do social media advertising and stuff like that.
Awesome.
And yeah, they're helping me develop all this stuff, and it's been a process.
I can imagine. You know, even me just listening to all the technical stuff from you, I was like, man, there's still so much to learn, and I love learning. So this has been great for me. I really enjoyed having you on the show. I definitely want to get you back on at some point. So you might be hearing from us again.
Well, all I have to say is
no.
This was dog water. You're dog water. I'm out of here.
This is as bad as my first episode. I'm leaving. Good day, sir.
Yeah, dude. Just hit me up. You have my email. Just let me know whenever you're ready, and we can make something happen.
Awesome. So, Mike, thank you so much for being on tonight. Can't wait to touch base with you again and get you back on. That's killingitproductions.com/go. So, if you're looking for some better quality podcasting than I could possibly produce, he's the guy to go to, so make sure you guys go check him out. Michael, thank you so much for being on. You have a good rest of your night, all right?
Thanks, man. Stay blessed and have a good evening, feller. Thank you for having me, and spread the word, bruh.
You got it, man. Take care.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to MF Uncensored. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Paul, and with me today, we have a very special guest from, I want to say, Iceland? Am I right?
Yeah.
And that's Arnar Haraldsson. Now, Arnar, thank you so much for being on the show today. I'm really excited to speak with you.
I'm pleased to be here. Thank you very much for inviting.
So it's funny because the first thing I said to him was good morning, and the first thing he said back was good afternoon, because I believe we have a 4-hour time difference.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think about by itself. You know, we started off as such a small show, and now we're interviewing people all over the world. So that's exciting for us just by itself.
Okay.
So
That's good.
yeah. So Arnar, I was told we connected through our good friend Steve Joyner. Big shout out to Steve, who's been helping us set up all these interviews. Not only did Steve think you and I would be a good fit because of past profession for you and current profession for me, but also you are a movie star.
Yeah. You must say that.
Yeah.
I am.
So before we get into movie stuff, which is the stuff that I really want to talk about because I'm really curious to kind of hear some of your experiences, you're a former police officer. Is that true?
Yeah. I started 74 and ended my shift 93.
Oh, God bless. Thank you for your service. Thank you for everything you've done. As somebody who's only 6 very tiny years into a long career, I got to say God bless, and I'm glad you're enjoying retirement. You're doing it better than most.
Yeah. I cannot stop. I have to work.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, once they retire, especially, my dad did 20 years in corrections, and then he immediately retired and then started another job.
Okay.
So, a lot of guys, they do a long career, and then they find something else to do afterwards.
Exactly.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your police career, if you don't mind. I know a lot of guys don't like discussing it, but I would love to hear, because it's from what Steve told me, it's pretty extensive.
I started, like I said, 74 in the police academy, and my last shift was 93. And in that time, I was also Secretary General for International Police Association, Icelandic section. You know what it is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
That's
I was that secretary for that for Iceland.
That's great.
And then I travel around the world to see how the police are working. I was invited to LAPD, stayed there for 6 weeks, and took the shift with them and investigate everything. But I did not go to NYPD. That's a
I don't think anybody wants to go to NYPD right now, so that's fine.
But yeah. Then I think, like I said, I travel around the world and I had lots of experience. But here in Iceland, we don't carry a gun in the police. We have only a SWAT team.
Uh-huh.
Of course, we learn to shoot.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And we have a shooting range and all that. And then 93, I stopped. I said, now it's enough for me. And then I started in U.S. Embassy in security.
Okay.
In Iceland. I was there for 10 years in security.
For 10 years. Wow.
Yeah. And then I stopped there, went to the Academy of Acting here in Iceland, finished that, and I started.
And here we are now. So what made you want to do the transition into acting, though?
It happened when I was in LA with the police there.
Okay.
Because most of them, they were bodyguards for celebrities. And they invite me to go with them up to the Hollywood Hills to visit them. And then there I sit down with some of them.
Uh-huh.
And they said to me, when you are retired, you should go in this area, this business. I said, oh, really? Do you think so? Yeah. So I did not think about it until 2005.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Then I said, okay, I will start this. And since then, I have been very busy.
Yeah, so tell me about your first movie role then. Like, what was your first experience going to an audition and being on a set? Like, were you shocked by it? Was it a little bit of
No, actually, I thought first I went there. I said, how am I going to remember all the lines in the whole movie? But it's not like that. You don't need to remember just
the whole
like
script.
Because they said, cut, and we take step by step.
Mm-hmm.
My first movie was taken in the U.S. It's a U.S. movie. It's a Western. I made 2 Western movies in the U.S. and many TV series here in Iceland.
And what was the name of the first movie? Was it? It was a cowboy movie, you said.
Yeah, wanted. Yeah.
Okay.
It's cowboy. Both of them was cowboy. The second was Copperhead Creek.
Oh, yep. I got your list here on IMDb. I'm peeking.
Yeah, and now it's the newest movie I'm going to make is made in Switzerland.
Oh, wow.
It's a Swiss movie, action thriller. And it has been already. It will be going to Cannes Film Festival and the festival in Hollywood when it's finished. We started. It is excited.
Oh, that's very cool. That's very exciting. So, tell me, when you went for your first role, what was your audition like? Did you have to go in? Was there casting? Did you have to speak in front of the director? How did that start?
No, I'm so lucky. I have many directors and actors who are my friends.
Yeah.
And I only talked to them. I said, hey, you need some person inside that. Remember me. And then suddenly, this person in Switzerland,
mm-hmm.
he contacted me for 3 days ago and said, Arnar, I want you in my movie. So you will be my longtime bodyguard in the movie. I said, okay. I'm used to that. I know I was a bodyguard here. And most of my roles in TV series are I am detective or policeman.
Well, you got to do what you know. So I mean, you bring a lot of experience. So does it feel weird, kind of slipping back into that role, or is it just normal for you at this point?
No, very normal. I see how ridiculous this is actually.
But it's good though. Like you're taking experience that you have and a certain level of expertise. It makes the whole role a little bit more real.
Yeah, when I started first here in Iceland with TV, I said, "Oh, what you're doing is wrong." How do you know? How do you know that? You haven't seen you don't know who I am. And he said, "Yeah. You were a former policeman." Ah, yeah.
Do you constantly find yourself critiquing and correcting the proper procedures in these shows?
Normally, I don't do it. I just leave it to them and follow what they are doing. First time I started, but now they love me on the set.
It's funny too because like I don't watch a lot of police television shows in America. Every once in a while if they're on, but I love watching them because my wife will sit there watching me watch the show, and I'm like, well, that's not right. They don't have to tell them that. They don't have to do this. So it's funny talking to somebody who is a former police officer who is now in movies and TV show dealing with the same kind of thing that I sit on my couch and critique. So
when I started first, I was thinking, am I too old or am I whatever? And I talked to the people who was in my class in the academy, and they said, because I was grandfather to them, they love to help me because I have so much experience to give. Mm-hmm. So that's why they love to help me.
Did you find yourself in a class with a lot of younger people, or were there people of all different age ranges?
No, in my class, I could be a grandfather.
To all of them.
To all of them. I said always to them, okay, kids, come on, play.
That's actually really funny. But so because now I'm imagining it, and it's just a great visual. But I've never actually spoken to somebody who's gone to an acting school or a professional acting class. Tell me a little bit about how that goes. Like, are there specific subjects that you have to go through? Are there class styles?
Yeah, it's you learn how to promote yourself, or how to stand in front of the audience. Mm. We have an audience in front of us, and we have to don't be shy, and then when you finish the school, you have to make like a description to about police and a man who was arrested.
Okay.
And I made the classroom police station. I went to the police station, got some things there, and got the uniforms. And
so you made it the most realistic out of everyone.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that was totally hit.
That's awesome. Like so to bring that level of realism must have been really eye-opening for some. Do people ever ask you about your past as a law enforcement officer while you're on a set or anything along those lines?
No.
So tell me a little bit about your newest movie. You have a new movie filming in Switzerland. It's called I believe No Time to Think.
Yeah, No Time to Think. It's Angelo Borrer, who's Squids director and actor. Mm-hmm. He is my friend. He is going to. It will be made in Basel and 3 other places in Switzerland, up in the mountain. Many German and Swiss actors are going to be in this movie. It will be action. I'm looking forward to it.
That's awesome. Where else have you filmed though? Like you mentioned Switzerland. What are some of the places that you've filmed in?
Most of it, most of it's here in Iceland and U.S.
Okay. Do you prefer working on television or film sets? If you don't mind my asking, what's the difference between filming a television show or filming a movie?
It's not so much different. Okay, landscape maybe, and it's not so different.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never actually spoken to somebody who's done both television and movies too much, so this is a little eye-opening for me. What was the most surprising thing about filming that you weren't expecting?
the most is when I was growing up, sitting on the horses in the U.S. They are so big. In Iceland, we have our horses are pony, like pony.
Considering I've never ridden I've ridden a horse one time, and it was a terrible experience, and I could never actually ride a horse ever again. So I applaud you, sir, for even being able to get on one, especially one that was humongous compared to what you're used to.
Yeah.
So if you were able to film another movie or a TV show, what kind of film or TV show would you like to do?
I'm interested to go into the like a FBI or NCIS.
Okay.
Yeah, this is my goal.
So yeah, what are your goals as a career? You know, you're starting this acting career. It's getting a little hot.
Is to better than The Rock.
Better than The Rock. Don't tell my wife that, because that's my wife's celebrity crush. She loves The Rock.
I always said Rock.
Yeah. It's funny. The Rock is one of those guys that I think he works 23 hours a day and then sleeps for 1.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't know how people do it. I worked midnights when I first started, so I was working the night tour, and I don't know how some people can stay up for hours and hours anymore.
Yeah, this is what when you are in acting, maybe because you don't know how long you have to be on the set. It can take 4 hours or 8 hours or 18 hours.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
What was the longest you've ever been on a set for a shoot?
13 hours.
13. And so why does the day get so long on some of these sets? Like, is it just bad takes? Is it technical issues?
Both, because the director and producer, they say, oh, we do it again, 100 times.
So if you could work with any movie director, who would you want to work with?
I'm not sure.
Not sure?
No, I think I can work with everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you have a favorite movie, though, or something that inspired you to really get into acting? A TV show, a movie, a director, anything like that?
TV shows, there is this FBI and the NCIS. I like to be in that.
Yeah, I haven't seen NCIS in a very long time. It's one of those shows that's been on forever, though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So yeah, wow. This is like really interesting, because it's funny hearing the differences between filming, TV shows, movies, America, Iceland. Where are some other places that you would like to film a movie?
I think I would like to film a movie in the Philippines.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. My wife is from Philippines. And I think I would like to in Japan.
Japan would be a lot of fun. I've been to Korea. Korea was a beautiful country, the south part anyway. So yeah, getting to travel to someplace like Japan.
The south part, okay.
Yeah, just the south part. Weird. They wouldn't let me into the north part. It was very strange.
Oh really?
Yeah, so weird. Where they don't have movies or TV shows up there. You can only watch like 3 TV shows in North Korea from what.
Yeah.
So do you ever find it challenging to work in a place like America where, language barriers or cultural barriers? Is that no? Oh.
I can speak English. I can speak a little bit Spanish and Tagalog, the Filipino, and Danish, Swedish, Norwegian.
See, I'm Swedish and Norwegian by birth, but I cannot speak any Swedish or Norwegian.
Really?
Really?
I am half Danish.
Okay.
No.
Man, you're the most cultured person that I've had on this show so far. Usually I'll get like other podcasters or other actors, and they're cursing and they're making jokes, but you're very sophisticated in the way that you speak. I love it.
I am positive man. I'm the most positive man in the world. I love the life.
No, that's awesome. That's great to hear, and I'm really excited because you got this new movie coming out. So what's the name of your character in this movie?
Wilson.
Bert Wilson. That's actually a very American name too.
Yeah. I think I'm the only English person. His long-time bodyguard.
The only English person in this movie.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. So what film? Excuse me. What language is this film primarily in then?
I think it will be in English.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then
I hope so.
I hope so. And you start filming that soon, or is that already going on?
No, it will be in. I will go there in 1st of June next year.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So how far in advance do you get your scripts and your movie roles to prepare for them?
It can be up to this, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But meanwhile, Steven is trying to get me on some in shows in LA,
Mm-hmm.
like an interview, like a big podcast show.
Yeah, we're the little podcast show.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Like it's nice to hear that, even though you had a very full and what sounds like a very fulfilling career, you're starting this brand new one and like doing really well. I mean, this is awesome to hear.
I've been in 27 podcasts now in US.
27 and mine. So 27 and a half then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're a very tiny podcast. We have a very devoted audience, and Steve's been really great about helping us grow and expand. And we've talked to some very interesting people and some very strange people too.
Yeah, Steven is very good. He's very good.
Oh, Steve's been great. It's funny because he'll be like, "Hey, are you busy?" And I'm like, "No, what's up?" He's like, "I have 17 people for you to email or call right now." I'm like, "Wait, what?" Steve, I'm at the grocery store. I can't do that.
Yeah, he's very good. He knows how to work on it.
Oh, he's always hustling. He's always moving, and
always.
It sounds like you are too. How did you and Steve connect?
Yeah, I was looking for PR in US,
Mm-hmm.
and suddenly I saw his name and to him, and yeah, that's how we connected.
Easy enough, right?
Yeah.
So, do you find it challenging to build a career in the US, or how's that going for you?
It's okay, but of course it's difficult, but it's okay. Step by step, it will come.
So what are some of the steps that you do? Because I would love to help you, because I want you to be famous, and then one day be like, hey, I like that guy Paul, that tiny podcast that I want to talk to again. I'm not gonna lie, I did find you on Instagram. So what other social media do you use?
Facebook.
Facebook. Everybody uses Facebook.
Of course. And I have a website. www.
Yeah.
So write down.
I'm writing.
www.arnarharaldsson.com.
Well, that's very easy to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we love putting we have a website ourselves, themisfitfaction.com, and we're building a brand new page because Steve's been really great about getting us connected with a lot of people. So we're actually putting on our website a list of all the people that we interview and how to like find them and get in touch with them. So we're definitely gonna have to throw you on there. And I'm digging the Instagram shots as I'm scrolling through as I'm talking to you. So tell me a little bit about your family, if you don't mind. How does your wife feel about this acting career that you do?
When I started, I asked her, because Steve said to me, Arnar, you know what you're going into. This is not just a normal world you're going into.
Mm-hmm.
I said, oh, why? Because if you get famous, what then? I said, yeah, never mind that. I can protect myself. And then I asked my wife, what do you think? And she said, it's up to you. You are already retired. You have nothing to do. just jump on it if you're interested. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Because it's funny. I told my wife, I was like, I think I'm going to take podcasting a little bit more, because we've been podcasting for years. Like, it was more of a hobby than anything else.
Uh-huh.
So I told my wife, I was like, I met this guy Steve. He's on Facebook, and he's talking about doing all these interviews and getting involved with people. And she's like, well, you have 15 years until you retire. So if you want to start that now, you might want to start it now, because it's only going to get harder as you get older. So it's nice to hear somebody who did such a big career in law enforcement have such a great career afterwards too.
Yeah. And that's why that's how it is. And then it started. I don't regret.
That's even better to hear. You got to do what you love, and you got to do what excites you and what you enjoy. And it sounds like you are living the dream, sir.
If I have a goal, I always reach my goal.
So what's left on the goal list? Where's Arnar Haraldsson going?
Yeah, I think I told you about. Don't tell your wife.
No, I'm not going to tell. She doesn't listen. My wife does her own thing, and she's listened to my podcast maybe twice. And one of those episodes was because she was on it.
My goal, I think this is my last goal, to be a good actor in a good movie. Yeah.
Playing the Lifetime bodyguard or the cowboy?
No, not cowboy. I think I will skip the cowboy.
No more cowboy roles?
Action movies.
Action movies. All right. I do enjoy a good action movie, and we talk about action movies all the time on here. Do you do your own stunts then?
No.
That's awesome. Well, Arnar, that's pretty much all I got for you today. Like I said, we're a very short show. Is there anything else you'd like to tell our audience before you leave?
No, just if they want to ask me about something, just they can write to me or send me a message. I always answer all my messages.
That's awesome. And is the best way on Facebook or somewhere else?
On Facebook, yeah.
All right, so I'm going to make sure that I link your Facebook to our post when this episode goes live. We're going to tell our friends that are listening along that if they want to get in touch with one of the most interesting actors that I've ever spoken to.
Thank you.
No, with a lifetime of experience, like just crazy to think, 20 plus years of policing and traveling the world. What was before we go, what was your favorite travel spot that you've ever been to?
When I went to Russia.
Really? Russia, the coldest place ever?
Yeah, I went there to see how the police are working there, if they have a police. And I went there. I saw many things which I should not see. But like I said, I've been in all Europe, every country in Europe.
Really? That's crazy. I hate traveling, so to hear somebody that's traveled everywhere is always impressive. While you were in Russia, did you at least enjoy some Russian vodka?
No, I don't drink.
No, you don't drink? You don't drink at all?
No.
That's good,
But
though.
I love the food.
Oh, yeah? Russian food?
Yeah.
What?
We went in a restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
and I ordered this course there, and it was 14 courses in one. I have to finish everything.
That's so much food.
Yeah.
It's funny, you travel around the world and culture is so different. Like in America, it's very customary to tip people. So after you've had your meal, you leave a tip based on the service that you received. So we went to Korea and we thought that was the culture. So we left a very nice tip for the young lady that was waiting on us, and she came running out of the restaurant after us to give us our change. And we're like, no, that's for you. And she's like, why? And we're like, because you did a good job? And she didn't understand. So it's always interesting when you travel to other countries, other cultures, and you get to experience what makes them so special.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
I've been also, I went once into Tijuana in Mexico.
Oh, God, Tijuana. I've heard stories about Tijuana. Do you have a Tijuana story before we wrap up?
No?
Nothing you can say? Don't worry, my wife's not listening, and I'm sure your wife isn't either.
No, there's no story there.
No, there's always a story out of Tijuana.
Yeah.
Well, Arnar, thank you so much for joining us today. We're looking forward to catching your new movie when it comes out. Yeah. And you said you're going to start filming that sometime around June, correct?
Yeah.
So I think maybe around that time you might get another email from us to come talk about how it's going.
Yep.
So that's No Time to Think, and this is Arnar Haraldsson. Thank you so much for being on today.
Well, I'm pleased to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day, all right?
You too.
Take care.
God bless.
Bye-bye.